All right, rise and shine, everyone. It is 6 o'clock here on your Wednesday morning, and we're back. Jason, Alicia,
the family's
John,
back together.
Everybody's back here today.
It's been a while.
It has been a minute since we've all been in the same place together.
I've missed you guys. Miss you, John. How was your holiday?
Oh, I'm not here. No, I missed you
there
too.
You are. Okay.
I had a terrible time with family. No, I had a great time. The Mario Kart was a hit. Ashman is loving the real life Mario Kart. Alicia, you got to get this thing. It's life changing. All right. So it is, you know what? The clicker's giving me a problem today, so there we go. 32 degrees out there right now. We're going to do this on the old computer. It is comfortable outside. As we look at temperatures around the area, 32 in St. Cloud, 30 in Mankato. We're seeing a couple of flurries across the metro. You can see that on our radar, but not a whole lot. Now, as I zoom out, you can see that little activity up in Duluth. This is going to actually move down towards St. Cloud and Wilmer. So you can actually see there's going to be some light snow, but not a whole lot. Brainerd, you'll probably see a little of this activity. And then as you go big picture when you just look at the actual Midwest, the low is sitting there in northern Missouri. That's going to pull across Wisconsin. I actually think parts of western Wisconsin could see 1 to 3 inches. That's new to the forecast. So if you're traveling, we'll talk about that in your full weather. Come on, clicker, work next time. Megan?
Let's see if this clicker works. I have a good feeling. All right, good morning to our friends in Eden Prairie this morning. We're looking at Highway 212 at Eden Prairie Road, where things are looking nice this morning. All across the metro, we're seeing lots of green, which is, of course, what we like to see. No crashes at the moment. And once you get into the Twin Cities, if you are headed into work today, working in St. Paul or Minneapolis, drive times between Minneapolis to St. Paul on 94 eastbound, about an 8-minute commute, and in the opposite direction heading westbound, about 7 minutes. Jason, good morning.
Good morning, Megan. Thank you very much. And speaking of travel and the commute, holiday travel isn't over quite yet. This is expected to be the busiest day at MSP Airport after the Christmas holiday.
Yeah, it's been tricky, too, for some travelers, even though it doesn't really seem like that here. They've been battling the awful winter weather conditions, from ice storms to blizzards across the country. Here in Minnesota, both travelers in the air and on the roads had to deal with days of steady rain. But it's a different story right now. So let's get to Cece Gaines live at MSP with an update on what's happening at the airport. Hey, Cece.
Hey, good morning. So since I talked to you about 30 minutes ago, the morning rush has kind of died down a little bit. If you take a look, not as congested as it was here about 30 minutes ago. And we're seeing a bulk of the delays and cancellations this morning. They're going to be coming from the arrival side. I know that we're seeing about 5 cancellations rather, for arrivals and 4 delays. And departures, though, they're looking really good this morning for people heading out. But that goes to show that the states around us are the ones being impacted by some pretty horrible weather. Over the weekend, dozens of flights were canceled at Chicago airports because of fog. Then this week, blizzard warnings were issued in parts of Nebraska, South Dakota, Kansas, Colorado, and Wyoming, causing delays and dangerous road conditions. The FAA says they'll be working closely with airlines during these travel woes. But coming up in about 30 minutes, we're going to have some tips for travelers just in case your flight did get canceled. What can you do? In the meantime, though, if you're coming here to pick someone up or drop them off, it is going to get a little busier, I'm sure, later in the day. So there is a second cell phone lot where you can go park for free and wait. And it'll be good for days like this when things are kind of up in the air in limbo. Jason, Alicia.
That's great news, because the pickup line at MSP Airport gets so long, and then they make you do
does.
the loop. So yeah, that extra lot will be helpful. Thank you, Cece.
Well, from the skies to the roads, AAA predicts that tomorrow and Saturday will be the most congested on the roadways. So here are some of the conditions facing drivers in the Plains and the Midwest. Not great. Blizzard and ice storm warnings are starting to expire this morning, but snow and freezing rain are still a factor out there. So make sure you double check the forecast if you're heading that way or expecting a loved one to drive through all of that. And AAA suggests to leave before lunchtime or after 7 p.m.
The unusual warm weather in Minnesota means many lakes in Hennepin County are still open, and the sheriff is warning no ice right now is safe. That's likely true statewide, where a longtime dive team is staying busy, pulling things like ATVs and fish houses from lakes, with 10 recoveries already on tap compared to just 4 all of last winter.
I would tell anybody that if you got a house out on any lake right now up in this part of the world, get it off, because you're going to have a big issue otherwise.
Yeah, you don't want to lose that. The DNR recommending At least 4 inches of ice before going on it, 7 for snowmobiles and 10 for any vehicle.
Time now is 6:05. A 17-year-old Fridley boy is now charged with second-degree murder in the death of his ex-girlfriend, 18-year-old Jaden Lee Klein. According to court documents, Fridley police say the teen admitted to getting into an argument with Klein and then shooting her last Thursday in his mother's van. Neighbors reported hearing a loud noise. Investigators say a Ring doorbell camera shows the passenger door of the van open, a shot being fired, and Klein's body falling from the van as the driver sped off. Well, this morning, investigators are trying to track down the person responsible for a Christmas Day swatting call in Wyoming, Minnesota. Chief Neil Bauer says police got a call early Christmas morning for someone who was allegedly holding his mother hostage with intentions to kill her. But it turns out that was just a swatting call. A swatting is a prank call made to authorities with the purpose of luring them to a location. Chief Bauer says the call and the response to the address took an hour away from 6 different departments. And he says police aren't the only victims of swatting.
It can be kind of harassing towards the homeowners as well, or the residents as well. They're not, drawing this attention to their house, and all of a sudden you've got law enforcement from 5 different agencies, 6 different agencies showing up, and the neighbors are all wondering what's going on this weekend.
So just 20 days ago, the Minnesota Department of Public Safety issued an advisory against swatting after police responded to several schools and Jewish facilities for fake calls and emails.
Catching you up on the latest developments in the war in the Middle East. The Israeli military says it plans to expand operations in central Gaza. Here's NBC's Josh Letterman with more on today's developments.
Hey there. Israel's government is warning that this war is going to go on for many more months. And the military says that it is intensifying its attacks not only in southern Gaza, the site of fierce fighting in recent weeks, but also in refugee camps in central Gaza. And we are learning that some 80 Palestinians have been buried in a mass grave after their bodies were returned to Gaza from Israel. This, as a top Netanyahu advisor is now in Washington, where he has been meeting with the White House and State Department about what comes after the war. We'll have much more on the war coming up on Today.
Over in Iraq, that nation's government is condemning a U.S. airstrike on Iraqi military positions. 1 serviceman is reported dead and 19 others are wounded. Iraqi army officials call the strikes a clear hostile act. The U.S. military says they targeted 3 facilities used by Iranian-backed militias in response to other attacks against U.S. forces in Iraq and Syria.
Back in the U.S., several Republican leaders in North Dakota are calling on a state lawmaker from their party to resign. This all comes after Representative Nico Rios was caught on body camera making homophobic and discriminatory remarks towards police during a DUI stop earlier this month. Now, Rios has since apologized for what he said, but has not responded publicly on those calls to resign.
By this time next week, minimum wage workers in 22 states, including Minnesota, will see a bump in their paychecks. At the start of 2024, the Economic Policy Institute says nearly 10 million workers will see an increase. For Minnesotans, it's a 26-cent increase per hour, and it's being adjusted to account for inflation. That's expected to impact just less than 3% of the workforce. Nationwide, it adds up to nearly $7 billion in pay.
In the last 12 hours, the Salvation Army updated us on its shortfall. This year's Red Kettle campaign is still down $700,000 compared to last year. So when you break down the stats, that's about 18% behind. So you can still help out by going to their website, salvationarmynorth.org, for information on how to donate and where donations are being accepted. The Salvation Army says inflation has had a major impact on donations.